I think not to insult the Zambians, but I think we are playful. When choosing a leader, we look at this noise. Where is the noise that we get a leader? We are not supposed to choose a leader from the noise. That's why I think there's that common saying that the empty tins always make noise. So let's be serious. It's a serious business to elect a leader, to elect a president. We need to be serious. We need to pray about it. We need to engage ourselves. Somebody choose a leader. So these are the things that we need to talk about.
So you agree with this statement?
Partially, I do.
There's no enough alternative ideas coming through.
Yes,
from the opposition.
but now I'm talking about the others who have engaged. But now I have to talk about myself.
So you partially agree to this?
Yes, I partially agree to that because I've also engaged some, and I've asked.
So you've engaged some opposition political leaders,
yes,
and they've got no.
Some of them don't have any idea of what they want to come and do.
All they just want
all they know is that we want to remove HH. I've stated several times that my plan is not only to remove HH. That plan to remove HH is the people's decision. But what am I offering the people of this country? What I want to come and do when we are given that opportunity. For me, I've stated clearly that we want to come and build what we are calling a new Zambia. That's the vision of the Democratic Union. And how we are going to roll it out, it is contained in our manifesto that we are coming to set up strategic cooperations, and this is how we are going to bring about transformation. I've seen at least others have now started copying our ideas to prepare their plans, to prepare their manifestos. Before we launched the party in December 2024, all we could hear from opposition political parties were noise, insults, character assassination, desire for vengeance and revenge. All these things, this is what we used to hear. When we came on the platform, we launched the political party. I clearly said the night is nearly over and the light is almost here. So there's a new dawn of politics that we want to bring in this land of Zambia. This is what the Zambians need to know, except that they are focusing so much where the noise is coming from. They are not focusing where the whisper is coming from. Like I've stated to you, when you read in 1 Kings chapter 19, the Lord was in the whisper, not in the earthquake, the fire, or the wind. He wasn't there.
Mr. President,
yes.
What is it going to take for Zambians to do away with the noise, to stop voting for the noise, and, like you said, vote based on ideas? What do you think that will look like?
Most of the times I've engaged the men of God. When I engage them, I tell them that you have the huge responsibility of ensuring that our citizens, there's that attitude change, first of all, and also raising responsible citizens. Angel, I must tell you that developing a country is not an easy task. It's a very huge responsibility. It's a very huge responsibility that we must understand. And for me, being a Christian, I also look at the responsibility of carrying 21 million souls that God gives you, that you are the leader for these people. What your responsibility, that's a very huge responsibility. And I don't think it needs to take a lot of time. Zambians need to be quiet for a moment, understand what they want, what this country wants. This country is demanding something that we are not giving it. You see, the country is demanding development, but we are not giving it. We are gathering ourselves, I think, in these noisy places and choosing leaders based on, I think, wrong criteria to get our leaders on board. But if we use the right criteria and choose leaders, this country is going to unfold in terms of development and the greatness. Zambia is a very great country. I usually tell myself that this country needs to be changed to be called the Great People's Republic of Zambia, because this country has got a lot of greatness. So this is what we want to hear from the citizen. Don't focus where the noise is, focus where the ideas is. And when they keep on talking about that the opposition is they don't offer alternatives, we have been providing alternatives, some of which even the UPN have been copying from us. Yes, they will not tell you that they've been copying from us. They are focusing because they know that the Zambians are focused on the noise, the other side where the noise is, and that's where they are drawing your attention to. But they will never focus on us who are giving these alternatives, who are providing you with great ideas, because they know that the moment you wake up, you are going to dump most of them. You're going to dump even UPND. So that's why they will direct you to where the noise is. They know that there's emptiness there. That's why most of the times they are saying they don't have alternative solutions. It's very rare that you see the UPND comment about me, because they know that I've got great ideas. I've got great ideas, which even them, they do tap in some of them. So this is the issue that is there. Zambians need to engage their conscience, not just the ego, because the ego can be excited with little things, the noise and the manipulation and all that. But we need to get to a table. I've been telling some men that I meet that we need to have a men's conference in this country and discuss the way forward for this country. What is it that we want? I've engaged some partners before. When you talk to some of the foreign investors, they'll tell you, they'll be open, they'll tell you, Ackim, you see the challenge that we face when we come to Zambia. We want to come and invest. When we engage the people in this country to say, where do you want us to invest? They say, just come and invest. You don't have a plan as citizens to say, this is what we want, this is how we want to develop Zambia, and this is how the locals will participate.
Yeah.
Where the locals lack, then we get foreign investors to participate. Yeah. You can't just tell people that come and invest. That's the reason they're even investing in shops, selling chickens, selling vegetables. They are not supposed to participate in those areas. They are supposed to come and invest. For example, in my case, there are certain things that I may not put in the manifesto. When we get that opportunity to get into government, I'm going to pose issuing of mining licenses first of all. All foreign investors who are coming, I'll tell them, you need to invest in the manufacturing, in the processing sector. We need to process our raw materials. We've got enough mines at this particular time. What we need is to add value. You heard what the president talked about in South Africa. He gave a very good speech, but action still lacks. He's always talking about good things, but action still lacks. One of the things that I want to draw you to, Angel, is the issue of the Lobito corridor. What does it point you to? What does it point you to? If you look at it critically, what is the agenda? The agenda is that they are going to be getting our minerals from Copper Belt, from Northwestern Province. They ship them off to Atlantic Ocean. Boom. They go to the US. Is that what we want? When we talk about value addition, investment must happen in this country, not to create these rail lines because they have told you that you're going to create a rail line you can be using when you're moving from Copper Belt to Northwestern, and then we've built somewhat so you can build your shops and all that. That you don't miss the issue, don't miss the agenda. The agenda is about minerals going out in their raw form. When they mine them, they'll be in their raw form. When they ship them in their raw form, there's a lot of benefit to the investor.
Yeah.
How is the benefit? Because the copper has got cobalt, has got the gold, has got other minerals. So all those
we'll get to that yes. in a little moment.
Okay.
But let me just exhaust looking at also your candidacy
yes.
in the 2026 general elections. Let me just exhaust that real
yes.
quick. I've also had conversations with politicians that have been on the scene for a very long time.
Yes.
And others may group you as the new politicians on the block.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
you're just, you're sort of maybe 10 years
yes.
in that 10 years bracket.
Yeah.
And they argue that for politicians such as you, maybe time is not yet.
Right.
You're not yet ready, because according to them, they say, look, politics is a very cruel journey, and
yes.
it needs a lot of maturity and also accepting a lot of defeats. There are more of a lot of defeats in politics than there are wins.
Okay.
And they feel that politicians like you haven't been tested, haven't been tested enough for Zambians to give you that responsibility to now run the affairs of the country. So now there's an issue of experience
yes.
that has come in.
Yeah.
But what would be your response to such sentiments?
Okay, that's a very good question. I must explain it in this way. If you look at one of the presidents, or maybe the president that has delivered the most, was KK. KK delivered, and it's not questionable. Did KK have the experience? He never had the experience, but he delivered exceedingly. Today, I think he still outstands. KK, looking at the agriculture sector, the manufacturing, the mining sector, he built institutions for value addition. There came MMD. They destroyed that through the guidance of the IMF and World Bank. So we've got these people who are given the experience and also participated in destroying our economy. So if you look at KK never had experience. Chiluba also never had experience, became president. And some presidents who had a lot of experience, they died on the seat. Michael Sata, Mwanawasa. If you are waiting for that experience, maybe they would die on the seat. And if you look at HH, what has he been saying? Staying long in the opposition is not good. He's determined to destroy the governance structures because he stayed long in the opposition. He still wants to be the president. That's why we've seen a lot of amendments that have happened in the recent past, because somebody has suffered a lot in the opposition. I'm not coming to be the president with a baggage of vengeance, revenge, and all that. I would rather you give me the opportunity when I'm fresh, when I've got these ideas, so that I come and focus on the country's development, not individuals, not retribution, not revenge. So all these are issues that we need to look at. Those who are talking about experience and what are selfish leaders. If you give you example, Traore, has he been a president? He has done a lot of work within the 2-3 years that he's been given. And the world is looking and is getting surprised. He doesn't have that experience that you people are looking for. And if you talk about experience, even in the current government, we've got ministers, some of them who have been ministers from the MMD days. But what development, what unique thing have they brought in this country? Is this country exporting solutions today? No. So which experience are you talking about? They'll still bring back the old things that were there. And we are in the era of AI. We are in the era of AI. Who is going to usher us in the era of AI? If you look at many of the challenges that we face today, Angel, our parents have failed to resolve them because it's not their generation which is supposed to resolve them. It's our generation. That's why we are rising up.
What if Zambians have similar sentiments to say, okay, Mr. President, we do get you've got good ideas, but maybe just wait a little bit. Then we'll give you perhaps maybe after 2 or 3 elections.
For me, I've given myself 15 years. Because within these 15 years, I think fast, I've got great ideas. After that, I'll be betraying the Zambians. I won't be reasoning at the same pace I'm able to reason right now. I need, when I'm fresh, I contribute. When I'm old, I won't be able. I won't be able to generate ideas to help this country develop. It's about idea generation. If you look at the way countries are developing, it's about idea generation. If you look at China, invested in the youth. That's why they started generating these ideas, creating that, and provided solutions to the country. But if you want to say we want to have to still continue with our elder, I don't have anything against our parents, but I believe, looking at the many challenges that we are facing today, and looking at how smart the international community is also in terms of their developmental agenda, they are treating us unfairly. We need a new breed of leaders that are a bit young, that are a bit clever, that can also stand and say, I think here we know the game that you are playing. Because some of them are duped, they are manipulated even as they sign this memorandum of understanding. They don't know the actual agenda in those MOUs. So we need young people who are going to quickly identify, to know detect what is happening around them in those transactions that are being engaged. That's why we are vying for young leadership. So talking about experience, I've told you KK never had experience, Kiluba had never experienced. So I don't know what experience. But for me, what I believe is that at the top there, we need a man with a vision. We need a man with great ideas.
And do you feel you are the man with the vision?
Yes, I feel I'm the man with the vision. If you are talking about experience, we've got technocrats in the government. We've got technocrats who are supposed to implement our manifesto. We need to sit down with them to say, guys, you've got the experience of the system. This is what we intend to do. Now use the experience and whatever framework that you need to come up with so that we roll out this agenda. It's not that we don't have men with experience in this country. We have a lot of men, but we've never developed. What we lack is a man with a vision who knows what to do. That is what is lacking.
Mr. President, others argue that for you to have an impact on the country doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be president.
Yes.
There are other avenues that you could serve and still contribute positively to the country. And they listen to your ideas.
Yes.
Great ideas.
Yes.
But they're saying, look, it's not only that you have to be president for us to actualize these ideas. So if Zambians slide into your space and tell you, okay, Mr. President, these are good ideas.
Yes.
But we are of the view that perhaps maybe you share these ideas, maybe with the incumbent or one of the opposition political parties. Would you be open to do that? Because that would also come at the expense of you abandoning your plans of being president.
Definitely. Many UPND members, I think even on radio stations, have called me, why don't you engage the UPND? I've shared this idea. Even at the day we launched the political party, I indicated that I want to meet the president, I want to meet ECL, so that then we understand certain things and see how we can work together. Because the greater vision is about improving the living standards of the people. But I never had that opportunity. A few months down the line, I saw UPND trying to implement something that was coming from our manifesto. I believe if they had engaged me to say, we've got great ideas, how can we work together? Is it possible that maybe you
Would
come?
you be open for such
Yes,
collaboration?
I'm very open, because my passion is the country. I've got a military background, Angel. Us are taught loyalty to the country, love for the country. It comes first before anything else. So if I'm engaged to say, okay, we want you to help us, even if they told me that we want you to help us, I would have helped them by now. But maybe because of pride, they don't want to engage. So these are issues, and maybe sometimes if you feel that because you've got the experience, you can't engage me with that experience. But I've got the knowledge, I've got the idea.
Have you made yourself available?
I've made myself available. I've said it several times. Even the day we're launching the party, I've said it on radio stations, and other members of the UPND who call, they'll tell you that we've told Ackim to engage these people. But I cannot force myself to go and engage them. If you are in need, you have to find help somewhere. You engage people. Okay, we've listened. We've identified you that you can help us in this area. Can't we work together? Then that way, yes, we can engage.
And also, Mr. President, the reason as to why I asked this question and labor on it is, these are conversations that Zambians have been having to say, look, it seems some opposition political leaders have got great ideas, but all of them can be president at one time.
Yes.
Why don't we get all these ideas, put them together, and if indeed we're saying it's for the benefit of the country, it's for the benefit of Zambia, why don't we get all these ideas, entrust it in one person, or perhaps maybe do collaborations so that we move as one? But all we see is this political party with this ideology, this political party with this ideology, and other Zambians feel that, look, we're missing out on great ideas because everyone wants to be president.
It's not really that. You see, the other challenge that we may face as a country is that, you see, I've told you that, yes, we have these great ideas, but who is going to implement them? For example, today, I am led by somebody. Do you think they are going to implement my idea? So those are challenges that we face. I will talk about, if we talk about the current opposition political landscape. If you talk about PF want to still come back after having contributed their 10 years and saved them. They still want to come back. If you look at their leadership structure, they want themselves again to occupy senior positions. So which means those with great ideas, where are you going to put them?
They're saying that the Zambians are calling back for them. According to them.
I don't think so. Maybe they are calling themselves back. That could be the reason. But we've engaged people on the ground. We've got quite a number of versions of what Zambians want. Others have said, we don't want UPND. We also don't want PF. Others have said that. And others, I'm sure even when they call, you hear for yourselves. Others don't want UPND. Others don't want PF. There are others who want PF back, yes. But then there are others who are saying we are tired of recycled leaders, the same leaders coming back. Those are versions that are there with the people on the ground. Yes, sometimes social media may create narratives through propaganda of what exists. So that's why you've heard the UPND say the oppositions are not offering any alternatives. Me, when we do a press briefing, we do even provide solutions of the interventions that we want executed, or alternatives that we would provide if we are given the opportunity. They will not talk about us because they sense that here there is danger. They'll talk about others where there's just noise and nothing. Their only plan is that Tenti Mchosepo HH. So these are issues. So it's also about propaganda, and sometimes Zambians can be swallowed in the propaganda and make the wrong decision. So these are issues that we need to table here. So the issue is about also when we want together. Are other leaders open to give opportunity to those with great leaders? Because I don't think that when we get to a platform where I am coming to serve with you, then you want me to throw me somewhere very far, where in the place where maybe I may not even make decisions. How am I going to implement the good decisions? And you know, these decisions that we have, some of them are just in their heart. You know that this is what I need to do when I reach this stage. Then it also talks about, since we are in a Christian studio, there's Deuteronomy 8 verse 18 talks about the ability to prosper. You can have an idea, but do you have that ability to prosper? Has God given you the ability to prosper, to execute what you want? So all these are discussions that Zambians need to assess. When we talk about working together, it's also about finding a leader with a vision to lead the vehicle, so that when he's given an opportunity, he's going to go there and bring about development. I don't want the next president to be one who is going to be vindictive, who is going to start arresting people carelessly, destroying governance structures, meting out revenge. You did this to me, I'm coming to do that. We don't want such type of leadership.
So lastly,
we want healing now.
So you're able to confirm that in August we will see Democratic Union on the ballot?
Definitely.
Okay.
Unless circumstances change.
And
Yes.
what could be those circumstances? Maybe when you get into an alliance?
Yes, because
are you relishing an alliance?
Yeah, no. We had discussions with Tonse Alliance, which we are still open.
You want to join Tonse Alliance?
They
in its current form?
They had invited us for a discussion to see how we could work together. But then discussions are still ongoing, because at the moment there's two fights, I think, which are not really appealing. So we want calmness. Once there's calmness, then maybe we could consider. But otherwise, the way we want is to stand as Democratic Union. But if there will be need from the Zambians to say we need to join your friends, then we are open to that. But
but what happened to the ideas? Are your ideas and Tonse, are they in sync? Because also, if you are going to get into an alliance,
yes,
you have to agree upon certain
So
things.
this is the other reason why we've delayed to get into an alliance, because you find that sometimes the ideas are not what we're looking for. Maybe the idea with the other camp may be just to remove HH. Let me ask you, then after Mamcho's up HH, what next? So we need ideas that are appealing, such that when we come as Democratic Union and say, okay, these are great ideas, I think we can get maybe 50% from ours, 50%. We make a marriage and then deliver the Zambian people. Because what we don't want is that maybe you have got hidden motives, hidden agendas, so that you deceive the Zambians again. You go there, you start doing your own wrong things. You saw, if you look at when UPND was in opposition, they said, we are coming, but I'm going to fix this. What did they do in their first year? They started fixing opponents first of all. Iwonapanga mlandu kasama bamtenga mpereka. Iwonapanga mlandu ku Mongo. By the time they realized that they are on the wrong track, 1 year had gone and the main economic matrices were already lost. We're in the wrong place. We couldn't bring them back. So that's the challenge that we want. And today, you see, we also don't want leaders who are filled with bitterness and hatred. Today, we haven't buried ECO because there isn't that forgiveness and reconciliation in the country. Sometimes we pretend, politicians can pretend to say, no, we are united as a country, this, and that, but there are always incidences that will reveal the truth. So we don't want that. We don't want to go back to that path of vengeance and retribution. No. Others have told me that, Ackim, you're not a good leader because you want to come and bring forgiveness and reconciliation in the land. I said, the land needs healing. That's when we are going to develop. We need to be united. As long as others are hating and all that, then there's no development that we are going to see in this country.
You just talked about the case of the former head of state that is yet to be buried.
Yes.
In your considered view, if you are going to bring in reconciliation and love and forgiveness,
yes,
if you were the current president right now,
yes,
what different would you have done so that it reflects the forgiveness, love, and reconciliation in the current? Would call it impasse that is there between government and the family? What would you have done differently so that we also get it as a recommendation?
Okay, so
perhaps may pass it on to government.
Yes, so for me, I think I would still engage the family in the current state to say there's this impasse. Where are our differences? We understand the government highlights its issues, the family's issues. Then we say, let's find a solution so that we bury. I know one of the requests from the family is that the incumbent should not be there. But one thing that you have to know, Angel, is that the presidency is also an institution. It's not about the individual. It's about the institution. If they are saying the individual should not be there, I know it's difficult to separate the office and the individual, but for the sake of peace, for the sake of uniting this country, he should have stepped back. I'm sure we've got examples. Even in the U.S., there was is it Trump who didn't attend one of the former president's patio, even here in Zimbabwe. So there have been precedents set up already to say a president cannot always attend a funeral, especially if there are personal differences. We know that there could have been personal issues between ECO and HH. Maybe that's why he was even denied to go and seek medical services. So that could have been maybe the genesis or where things could have gone sour in terms of them having a good relationship. So what I would advise is that they need to engage the family, understand their concerns, and then I think pull back. It's important at some point to cease fire and say, for the sake of this nation, we put the interest of the country at heart, and we put the interest of the country first. Let's do this so that the country can be united and can be healed. But in the absence of that, it will be very difficult to still have that barrier take place under the UPND
Mr.
leadership.
President, we wish you all the best, even as you galvanize and also mobilize towards August. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
All right, now let's look at other issues. I would like to get your opinion, because a key stakeholder in this the Electoral Process Amendment Bill of 2026. Let me just quickly read the objectives of this particular bill.
Yes.
Provide for inspection and objections to the provisional register of voters. Of course, this particular bill is imminent because of Bill 7. So it has to answer to what is in Bill 7.
Yes.
Set out certification requirements for candidate nominations, clarify the roles and duties of returning officers, revise the voting process, including removing the use of official mark on ballot papers, adjust powers of the Electoral Commission relating to the disqualification of parties or candidates, provide for proportional representation system consistent with constitutional changes coming from Bill 7, deal with related procedural matters. Now, some submissions, some concerns that have been raised, I'll pick up two. Of course, one, the removal of the official mark on the ballot papers that has been opposed by several stakeholders, including yourselves. But we've had some communication from ECZ that, look, if stakeholders aren't comfortable with this, then we may just as well proceed as what we have been doing. Also, one of the concerns was the registration of alliances before these alliances take part in these elections. But just generally, what has been your view on this particular bill? Because have you attended the meetings so far? You haven't.
Our Secretary General attended,
and they've made submissions.
Yes.
Tell us what you make of this bill.
So for me, Angel, you see, it's very unfortunate that we are making amendments in just few months before the election. And then their statements, remember the information minister made a statement to say Mingalato zizankala mu high gear in 2026. Could this be part of the Mingalato in high gear? It's very unfortunate that we are changing this Electoral Process Act few months before the general election. The only two, the ones which I want to speak to are the issue of the removing of the official stamp, the official mark stroke the stamp. For any document to be authentic, there must be something to show that this is an official document. So why do we want to remove the official mark or the stamp from the ballot paper? There is a possibility that somebody can come with a ballot paper from outside and bring it inside to if the mark is removed. It will still look genuine. So those are genuine concerns that we have as players in this process. So that's why we are against the removal of the official mark and the stamp from the ballot paper. They have just definite to do the way we've been operating before. There's no need for them to change the process at this particular moment. It is very important to do that. Remember, there was that allegation when they were at the Chawama by-election that they could have been a fake polling station. Imagine at such a polling station, if indeed it was true, then they just bring those ballot papers without marks. Then you take them to the
it wasn't true. The one who said there was a fake one actually apologized.
Yes, the fake one. Imagine the fake one was true. So they could do that and then include them. And you don't be able to differentiate to say this is official, authentic, this is not authentic. So those are concerns that we have as opposition. Those are the concerns we have as stakeholders. Then also talking about the issue of alliances. I think the issue of alliances is straightforward. Yes, even in the past, alliances were required to be registered. It's only that maybe this time it has become difficult to register an alliance because of the Mingala to UPND. So, but alliances even in the past were supposed, because for a political party or a person to stand in the general election, they have to have a vehicle unless they are standing as independent.
So you do agree with the need to register alliances?
Yes, I do agree that alliances needs to be registered. I think we've seen some alliances before that were registered. I know the example of the challenge that has been there in the past history is that alliances have been failing in Zambia. So maybe that could be the reason why they haven't been registered. But any vehicle that you want to use for an election, it has to be registered. If you are not using it as a vehicle, it can be there as an umbrella organization, but we've got a specific vehicle or specific vehicles that you are going to use. The only concern that we should have right now is the issue of legalia, because we've seen they have insisted that when you're in alliance, you can't use your political party regalia. People know that in this, like for example, if you talk about UPND Alliance or the Tonse Alliance, we know the political parties that are there, and we know that they've got different identities. Why not allow them to campaign? Why are you so concerned about what they are going to tell the people, that the regalia will mislead them? I don't think the regalia will mislead them, because people know the people that they want to vote for. So for me, yes, maybe the call to register an alliance is genuine, but not the banning the use of other political parties' regalia. Are you saying that you are killing all the political parties and only forming one? We know, for example, the UPND Alliance is not a registered vehicle. That's why they used UPND, but they allowed other party partners to campaign using their regalia. We've seen it even in by-election recently that they were using their own regalia. So I think they are being selfish by asking all alliances to use the specific regalia for a single political party. I think that is not fair, because once there is an alliance, then they know that there are many political parties there. So I think this is part of the mingalato. That's why we are not happy with the statement that you can only use your regalia when you want to participate as an alliance in an election. Because people are still selling their parties, they're still building their parties. Doesn't mean that they have deregistered them. No, that means the parties continue to exist, but they have just decided maybe to field one candidate, so they should be allowed to exercise their rights still. Yes. Yeah. So those are the two important issues that I want to speak to.
Those are the two important issues, but others have also picked up on ECZ wanting more teeth or more tooth to bite, and especially to disqualify candidates because and political parties, because they said, look, we've been through this road several times.
Yes.
While we hear Party X being accused of political violence in a particular ward, Part Z being accused of political violence in a particular constituency.
Yes.
So they feel, look, for us to address that, let us equip ECZ with this teeth that they should be able to bite and say, because of that, we're going to disqualify you, and it's non-negotiable. Something good?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a good thing, because the problem that we have is that we've perceived the ECZ in its current form to be partisan. You know, the chairperson is a party member of UPND. So how then is she going to discharge her duties fairly? Because it could be part of the mingalato that UPND wants to roll out.
Well, we've been told that the moment she ascended to that position, she took off whatever flings or attachments she had with whatever ruling party that
I don't think so.
Whatever political party
so.
that she was involved in.
She must still be loyal. And we've seen her.
Haven't you been impressed with her work so far? 4 years. Don't you think she's done a good job?
I think, yes, there are instances where they've done a good job. I think the time we participated in by-elections, I had commended them the way they conducted the nominations. I say that's professional, and I prayed that they would maintain that professionalism. But looking at some point, I think there was a time, I think an opposition political party had complained to say, can you see our competitors are buying voters through giving them food and what? The statement that came from there, specifically from us, that you can also do the same. So, which means she's really tidy. She still has that affiliations or interest of the party in power. So she can never disengage from that affiliation. It's impossible. So we need somebody who is neutral. Maybe that's why we needed some of these from the Constitution, where we've got appointing authorities that appoint heads of such institutions, so that then we are assured of independence. Maybe we even put a clause to say, if you've been an active party member of a political party in the last 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, then you can't hold such sensitive position. Because if you have been a party member, definitely your interest will be for the party, not for the nation. Because you belong to the party, the president is also the one appointing you. So you can definitely not disappoint them. So all these are issues that we need to look at. I don't think that ECZ needs that power right now, especially that we are aware that UPND are saying they want to increase, to put Mingalato in high gear. So anything can happen.
But don't you think, Mr. President, you are the ones that are going to be complaining also when the coin flips on the other side.
Yes.
That's not to say that I'm advocating, but maybe if there's political violence in a certain constituency, and the same political parties that would be saying, why isn't ECZ having tooth to disqualify political parties that are championing political violence? Don't you think that's a good thing?
It is a good thing in some way, but I think not this time around, because this time around we know.
Is there going to be ever a good time?
Yes.
For
so
this?
like we had stated even before the constitution amendment process, we said let's have general elections, then early 2027. Let's amend the constitution so that it depicts the interest of the citizen, not to be initiated by the legislator or the executive, no, but the ordinary citizen to speak to the constitution. This is what we want, because at that particular time, it's the people's interest that will be put into the constitution. It's the people's interest that will be put in the Electoral Process Act. But when things are being done at this particular time, few months before the election, definitely it's not the people's wish or view. It's about the people who've got vested interest, those who are in leadership. So whatever that is being done is to their advantage. That's why we don't want to risk to support such moves.
All right.
Yes.
Also, what has come with this part of the ECZ roadmap, there's also been delimitation, and we've seen that there's been this delimitation, town hall meetings across the country. I was just checking in Northern Province, in Southern Province, activities are quite, high. Have you been impressed so far with the transparency and also the participation by Zambians to want to participate in delimitation? Yes. And also, do you commend the current government for, others have said, for being very inclusive, especially on this particular issue of delimitation? Delimitation, inclusive at the end. So I think for me that is still betrayal. It's only that this time around we've accepted that these things have progressed, and at this particular time we don't have a choice but to accept delimitation. But why should you engage people at the end, not when you are starting the process? Remember, with the you feel this should have been the other way around?
Yes, transparency should have been there at the beginning, not at the end. We wanted people to be engaged at the beginning, not at the end, because now they want to appear to be transparent when they have not been transparent from the beginning. Remember, we didn't know the number of constituencies to be delimited. We only knew after Bill 7 had passed, and even after Bill 7 had passed, we only learned recently that there will be 70 constituencies to be delimited, and the people were asking to say, how did you come up with this number? How did you choose these constituencies? All these are issues that are there, but also picking from the engagements that are there. There are several names that are being proposed. Is the time enough to consider all those views and do the whole delimitation process? Part of the worry that I had as the president of the Democratic Union was that, do we have enough time to conclude delimitation? Because I believe once we do delimitation, there will be change of constituencies, and some of us, our voters card are showing that you are voting from Munali. What if now you'll be voting from Tendere? Is it not important that we're supposed to change the voters card? That's why we needed ample time to engage in the process, so that we are all satisfied. Then we go to the election having been satisfied with the whole process. But it appears the process is a crashed program to say we need to do this before the general election. There wasn't enough time. So all these are issues. And in the process, if you look at even the technical committee, we did an exercise just to appease the ruling of the Constitutional Court, where they said the process was not transparent, did not follow the Constitution. So we had to engage in a process that was just a way of wasting government money. When they came up with the report, they didn't even take that report into account. They revived Bill 7 in Parliament in its old state. So what are we doing? Are we really doing things in the best interest of the country, the best interest of the people? So when you talk about transparency, I would have loved it. Transparency was there at the start, at the beginning of the process, not at the end. You can't pat yourself on the back and say, I'm doing a good thing when you are concluding. That's when you want to engage people. I think that is not being fair.
All right,
yes.
Awesome. In case you're just tuning in, you are listening to today's edition of Chatback right here on Radio Christian Voice, and I'm privileged to be joined by the Democratic Union President, Mr. Ackim Njobvu. He is with us to look at today's topic of discussion, is the opposition offering alternatives that are attracting the Zambians. Our topic of discussion this morning is the opposition offering alternatives that are attractive to the Zambian people, with August in sight. And you can come through on Facebook. You can let us know where you are watching from. That's on Facebook. You go to RCV News. RCV News is the platform where we post everything current affairs. Let us know why you're watching from the comment section, but also your contribution and question you can post over there. And the number is 0956 200 490. 0956 200 490. We'll be getting your phone calls in a bit. All right, let's look at your there's something very interesting that I've been following from you.
Okay.
The National Technology and Innovation Corporation.
Yes.
That has come from me, and I found it very interesting. But before we get to that, let's quickly talk about I know it's something that Zambians say is long gone, the energy crisis and the manner in which government has handled the energy crisis. Because the sudden stable supply of electricity to a lot of commentators on the political scene are actually saying, look, it's an election year, what do you expect?
Yes.
Now this has also, this type of commentary has spilled over to how the Kwacha is performing well, and you know how all of a sudden things look to be moving in the right direction, and they are all saying that it's because it's an election year.
Yeah.
But just yesterday the Minister of Energy did clarify that, look, with or without elections, Zambians, he made an assurance that Zambians are going to continue experiencing stable supply of electricity even after the elections.
Thank you so much.
Generally, how would you say, how would you rate, or what do you make of the government's handling of the energy crisis?
Okay, thank you so much. So I think for me, they haven't managed it well. For me, we've still failed ourselves as a country in terms of resolving the energy crisis. I think the past 3 days or so, I've experienced personally load shedding, where power goes from around maybe 10, it only comes back at 18. Just within this week. So I don't know when they say that they have resolved it completely, then they are being truthful. And one thing that you need to know, Angel, is that the Minister of Information said they had to take money from the farmers to import electricity from Mozambique. So which means that's not a permanent solution. I would have loved if they had said we've built enough projects. From these projects now we've resolved the energy crisis. As long as we are banking on importation from Mozambique, then I think the energy crisis hasn't been resolved. Like we told you that when we get closer to the general election, there will be a lot of cosmetic improvements in many areas, so that the voters are deceived. And once they are deceived, they vote again for UPND. Immediately after the election, they will stop importing power from Mozambique, because you must know that this stable supply is because they're importing power from Mozambique. So which means they will stop, they will revert, because they will have nothing to please you for. So they will say the election is already gone. Why should we please the Zambians? Do you think that it is the right leadership that we should have, that for 4 years you have been suffering, then you're only given electricity in the last year, in the last few months of their reign in office? I think for me that's not a good thing. Why do we have to wait for all this period that we have had a poor economy? We have had if you also look at the debt itself, it speaks something. When UPND came into power in 2021, our foreign debt was sitting around at about $12 billion, but today it's at 20 billion. So which means UPND has also borrowed about 8 billion in just 4 years. Their friends borrowed 12 billion in 10 years. So we could see that what they are using, even just to have this cosmetic improvement, is not actually solutions that are internally generated, but it is through borrowing money from outside to help ourselves, to give us this fake picture of improvements. So this is the thing that we need to be aware of. That's why we need to critically analyze this improvement, to say, where is this improvement coming from? But as long as the improvement for load shedding is through importing power from Mozambique, that means it's not sustainable. Remember, even before now, we had debt. PF also left debt with Mozambique, because they were also importing power at some point. So UPND couldn't even go there because of the debt. So all these are issues that we need to look at. We need to be realistic when we are giving ourselves that comfort. But like I alerted the nation that in the election year, you see a lot of cosmetic improvement in many areas, because they want to twist.
So you call this cosmetic?
Yes, it's cosmetic. Everything is cosmetic.
Even the appreciation of the Zambian kwacha against major convertibles, you think that's a cosmetic?
Yes, it's cosmetic. Everything is cosmetic. You see, why do you have to make an appeal to the manufacturers to reduce the prices? Because if things are not cosmetic, automatically they have to respond. There have to be that automatic response in the economy. Recently we saw is it Rats who asked for reduction of commuter fees? The bus drivers have refused. So we want something that is going to respond automatically.
Reduction.
Yes, we want things to respond automatically. That's how economies operate. Yes, maybe people can be deceived, but when the economy, there's improvement in the economy, things respond automatically because there's that improvement where the manufacturing, the importation and all things agree to that improvement. But where it is cosmetic, you have to force people, you have to appeal, you have to go and deny when reduce. You don't have to plead. The system will respond. That's how economies operate. So this is one indicator. You don't need to ask. You just work on the exchange rate. Then you find that, for example, if you talk about now, if you're importing a vehicle, because you need less dollars, so you find that when you import, you find that you need a few kwachas. But what about now the cost of living? Why are we still failing to have it reduced? So that's where the reality check lies. So you need to check that. If things don't respond, just know that maybe it's not something that will live with us for a long time.
All right. Let's quickly check on your National Technology and Innovation Corporation.
Yes.
While you've highlighted some of the things that as a part you would love to implement in the agriculture sector, health sector, mining sector, aviation, automobile wing, you call it electronics wing.
Yes.
You also talked about a central hub. But I think I'm more interested in the agriculture sector, mining, and let's talk about maybe aviation, if we're going to have time.
Okay.
But let's start with the agriculture sector, because the agriculture sector, successive governments always, talk so much about diversifying.
Yes.
This current government says, look, we cannot run away from the fact that copper is still our baby, the mining sector. We're still it's still the big deal.
Yeah.
But there's been conversations of diversifying the agriculture sector. As Democratic Union, what are some of the policies that you feel would work in the agriculture sector, and something that you have highlighted in your manifesto? Just kindly unpack and let's hear it.
So for me, when you talk about diversification, in the past we've been talking about diversification, and we only talk about diversification when the price of copper goes down, or when we've got a drought. That's when we want to talk about diversification. So for us, we want to have a plan that is definite. When we come into government, we are going to appoint people specifically to implement those plans that we have. For I've told you that we want to build a new Zambia, and we're going to build it through the establishment of what we are calling strategic cooperations and the capital economic zone. So in the agriculture sector, we want to have farms in all the districts, so that then they begin to produce our food in mass and also create enough employment opportunities. That's our desire. When we do that, we want also to open up the agriculture sector, to liberalize it, so that when you engage in agriculture as an individual angel, you should be able to make a profit. So that's the only way we can motivate you. And we're also looking at an opportunity where we're going to subsidize the inputs. We are going to tell you that, okay, this is our design, that maybe for the next 3 years or 5 years, we're going to subsidize your inputs heavily so that you'll be able to afford to buy them, and then build that capacity and sustain yourself. After that, we will let the price go back to where it needs to be. So these are the policies that we have in the agriculture sector. But talking about technology and innovation, for me, I think we are wasting our time. If we want engage in technology and innovation, if we want to incorporate technology and innovation in our activities today, then we'll be wasting time. For example, if you talk about agriculture, our desire is that we begin to make drones in the country, deploy them in the agriculture sector, so that we increase the yield. Today, agriculture, when you talk about mechanization or smart agriculture, it's not just about buying a plow or a tractor. Today's equipment, like if you talk about tractors, there are tractors that are controlled by GPS now. That's the only way you improve on the yield. Then you also talk about agriculture extension officers. That's one way you also improve the yield, especially if you have to provide agriculture support to the farmers. So we want to start making our own drones. I'm happy that I've got an aviation background. We want to start making our own drones so that we can deploy them. That way we're going to save a lot in terms of the cost of producing, as well as improving on the yield. So that's why we are coming up with those technology and innovation centers, because we have to build something. First of all, we are going to do research and then begin to produce in mass. So I'm talking about the agriculture. I'm sure there are two components there. We talked about the actual agriculture for crops as well as aquaculture. So we're going to have this this research center, which will be like a one facility with different components. So this is meant to encourage research to be in one place where there could also be exchange of knowledge. This is when that's what we want to do. So we talked about the hydroponics. These are basically just places where you do not use soil, but you use water to feed the plants. So you have that type of space and technology to begin to study plants and response. One of the things that I want to do, I know Katete and Mpika, they're very cold. We want to come and research on what type of citrus fruits we can start growing in these two areas, other than importing everything from South Africa. So we need to invest a lot more in technology and research. And for me, you see, the way if you look at the Democratic Union Manifesto, the way we've done it is that there are questions that arise from these intentions to invest. For example, where will the money come from? Zambia is
how realistic is
how realistic
these
is these
plans?
things? How realistic are these plans? So what we've done is from the mining sector, the strategic cooperation in the mining sector, we're going to set up what we are calling the Natural Resources Corporation, but we are also going to introduce what we are calling the Chiefdom Development Fund. So there will be a levy, what we are calling the Chiefdom Development Levy of 2.5%. That will be levied on public mines as well as the private mines. So when we get that 2.5%,
only in areas where the mines,
all the 10, our intention is to set up mines in all the 10 provinces, because we want development to be in all the 10 provinces, not just in Lusaka and Copperbelt. No, we want all the 10 provinces. Remember, in Eastern Province, there's no university. We need a university there. And also, if you look at our health strategy, we need a university stroke specialized hospital there. So we want to make sure that the resources are mobilized, and once they are mobilized, they begin to develop the provinces. So from that 2.5%, that 0.5% goes to research and development. One of the challenges I think we faced as a country is, yes, we talk about research and development, but it requires money to fund research and development. But also, how do we entice individuals like yourself, Angel, to get involved into research and development? So we are going to provide funds. We're going to create, to build these places where you are going to go and do your research. Then we also want to introduce incentives, maybe awards. If you come up with a best idea, then you are awarded, so that you are encouraged to participate in research. I've been watching ZNBC. I've seen, I think, some boys in the compounds in Mikalingalinga where they're building tippers using their carton box and all that. That is technology, that is knowledge that can be developed. But I want to point you to two key specific ones. There was that student at CBU who made a vehicle. The story has just died. Maybe that's the reason we have that automobile wing, where we want such ideas to be brought on board. We engage experts and other partners that we're going to work with, so that we start building cars in the country. Right now, there's been this talk that we've got minerals that can be used in electric cars, but there's no one to connect that. So for us, how we are going to work it out is that I'm going to appoint who we are going to establish the Office of the Innovation General through an act of parliament. That office will be there specifically to identify talent in the country. I'm sure you've heard that I want this country to start exporting solutions. So we need to put certain things in place so that implementation is there. It shouldn't just be the president talking. When the president speaks, somebody picks it up and he implements it. So we're going to have this Office of the Innovation General so that he identifies talent. A few months ago, we had a pupil in the Eastern Province. A pupil, not a student or a pupil from primary. They made fertilizer from sunflower. That's the type of innovation that we want in this country. So this technology and innovation should have gotten interest through the Innovation General, and they brought that person within that space to say, we want to work together. So there will be two things. If you identify such talent, if you see that this project idea is bankable, help that person to establish a company. The government can come in and buy shares at 50% or find other investors. You build that individual. If a lot of them notice that our ideas, the government will come in, build it, maybe help you set up a company, a lot of people are going to get interested in research and development, and that's how countries develop. We need that. We need to activate it. We need to interest the citizen. So this is why we want to do that. So we've identified 6 areas. That is agriculture, health, mining, aviation, automobile, and electronics, where we want to make sure that we build ourselves. But we also want to reposition ourselves. I've been telling that I want Zambia to be a major contributor to the global economy. So we need to reposition ourselves. How are we going to reposition ourselves if we are not going to look at these critical areas where we need to do a lot of research and improve the living standards of our people? It's not really somehow a good thing that always you're importing medicine. There are games that are played from the global perspective. Remember, we used to have theories around COVID that it was made just to destroy a certain race and all that. But some of these could be real. So for national security, you need certain things within the country to be done by yourselves. So it's part of the strategic agenda. So you've seen when I tell you that I've got a vision for the country. These are the things that we need to talk about. You need to focus and say, what about this? How is the country going to be secure? There are certain things that we need to do as a country.
I've listened to you very carefully on the agriculture sector. You are prioritizing research, research and innovation. But still, even when you do that, you will still have to make sure that the country continues to have a bumper harvest.
Yes, so there's that
maize mealie meal issue.
Yes.
How are you saying you're not going to change anything there? Are things okay?
For us, how we are going to improve things is that we are going to build on what is there. But what we intend to do through what we are calling the National Agriculture and Food Corporation, we are going to set up public commercial farms in all the 116 districts. So this is how we want to ensure national food security. Then through another institution, which we are calling the National Engineering and Construction Corporation, this corporation will be tasked with the responsibility of irrigation development in these public commercial farms. So there will be, if you talk about agriculture, there will be this specifically National Food and Agriculture, which will ensure national food security before we begin to export. My desire, why we are setting up in all the district, is that we need to produce enough, first of all, for food security and ultimately respond to the high price of mealie meal. I will not say that when I come, the bag of mealie meal will be 30 kwacha. I won't tell you that. But what I'm telling you is that we are going to have these commercial farms. When they produce enough, then the price should respond automatically. It's not me to tell you that the price is agabwera, but once we produce enough, the market will respond. Venus Gamba improvement in the economy, that things need to respond automatically. When there is enough maize, the price should automatically reduce. So that's our desire, that we produce enough. Then we are going to, once we produce enough, we have got 2 to 3 years cover. We should begin to export now. We've got Zimbabwe always wanting our maize. We've got Malawi, we've got Tanzania, we've got Kenya, Rwanda. All these always want our maize every year. But should we always put our ZNS in the border towns so that we stop them when the market is there? Imagine you've got a market, then you're just being limited. I don't think that's a good strategy. When the market is there, let's take advantage of the market. Then that way we earn forex, and that's the best way.
That's you speaking directly to a farmer.
Yes. So the farmer, the encouragement is that we're going to liberalize. We will not restrict you where to sell your maize. You see, the agriculture angel. I've been involved in agriculture. It's a very complex business. So it's also difficult to make a profit in agriculture. So when you produce, let's say, 50 bag of maize, you find that maybe your cost is 250. The other one, the cost may have been 300 or 320. Then the floor price is only 350. So you find that the one whose cost was 250, they'll make a good profit. But the other one whose cost was 300 or 320, they will maybe not make anything. And you look at now where the payment took a lot of time. How do we encourage that farmer to go back to farming? They'll be discouraged. They'll see that there's nothing that they've made. So that's why we want to open it up to say, if you have produced, do your assessment. If I take to FRA or to National Food and Agriculture, am I going to make a profit? If you say no, then you're able to export to Malawi, you're able to export to Tanzania, so that you make a profit, so that becomes a real business. A business is all about profit. If you can't make a profit, then you're not in business. So this is not what we want.
And many agriculture experts have called the need for the country to look outside maize.
Yes.
What is your diversification sort of policy? What are those other crops that if you from government, you are going to also prioritize on one that is lucrative, but also appealing to the Zambian farmers?
So for me, the issues are quite a lot. If you look at the regions, they are all different. If you look at the Eastern Province, we've got agriculture. But our intention, we're talking about these public commercial farms. How are they going to be sustained? So if you are going to be in charge of this, let's say you're going to be in charge in Lusaka of this public commercial farm, you need to grow at least 2 other cash crops so that you sustain the farms. Government will inject something at the start, but they won't continue to do that. You need to be self-sustainable. So you need to diversify. If you are in the Luapula province, you need to get into doing rice, apart from maize being our staple food. If you are in Mwinilunga, you need to look at pineapples. If you are in the Western province, you need to look at cashew nuts. All these are issues that we need to look at. So these are some of these things. For us, we are giving this strategic direction. Then we tell them what we desire to say. You need to engage in other. Can you identify 2 other crops that you need to grow in these places, so that you begin to generate capital, because you might even need to pay back to the National Engineering and Construction Corporation for the irrigation development that they are going to implement on those farms. So these are things that we need to look at. We will not restrict ourselves to maize. Maize will only be required because it's our staple food and because the market is ready. But then you need to engage in 2 more other cash crops. So I've just given you an example of different provinces having different things. I'm sure Eastern and Central may also want cotton. Eastern also tobacco. All those are things that they need, but they need to find a better way of ensuring that not every place is growing tobacco, not every place is growing cotton. Depending on the demand and all the other things, then that's the way they're going to roll it out. So that's our desire.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Lastly, and very quickly, before we get to the phone lines, a lot of Zambians have been keen on the mining sector, and they wait for good ideas on the mining sector, especially seeing that the country is in a current state where we are discovering other minerals. We've seen how many discoveries have been made just in the last 4 years of gold. Mpika has gold. Of course, Kansensel is something that happened even before the 4 years. We've seen Kasempa. There's gold. What are those specific policies that you would come and implement that would speak directly to ensuring that we maximize our minerals, but also that the Zambian benefits?
So if you look at our manifesto, there will be need for a lot of investment.
In the mining sector?
Yeah, not only in the mining sector. We talk about the commercial farms. We talk about technology and innovation. And other things that we want to do, such as building the hospitals in Chipata, Mongu, Livingstone, and Kasama. So where will the resources come from? So the resources will come from the mining sector. So what we intend to do is, I've told you about the Chiefdom Development Fund. So we want to set up public mines in all the 10 provinces. So we are not going to focus on copper because copper is capital intensive. We are going to focus on precious minerals. So we set up in all the 10 provinces, and that's that would be the basis for this Chiefdom Development Fund. So we want to set them up and then be able to get revenue from there and build our reserves. There are other areas that require subsidies. So we want to do that so that then the Zambians can also start benefiting. There are other things that I will not tell you because I think I'm not yet in government. Because I look at certain things strategically, there are also risks.
You want to surprise us when you're in government?
No, not really a surprise.
It's better you tell us so that Zambians
there are certain things that are very sensitive that I think I can only talk about when I'm in government.
Okay.
Because sometimes when I speak certain things, you find that maybe even the mining giant starts fighting me before I get into that space. So we are going to do certain things, but ideally, we want the Zambian people to benefit. I've been complaining to say, look at Northwestern Province. A lot of minerals are being harvested there. But all we know about the Northwestern Province of Solwezi in specific, could it dust? That's the only thing we know about Solwezi. But we want where mining is happening and we see cities or communities coming up. These are the things that we want. So for us, we want to make sure that when we mine there, the community benefits. So if you look at the way we are going to use that money, what we are calling the Chiefdom Development Fund, we are going to get something to NIMA to improve healthcare. We are going to take something to NAPSA for pension for our parents in the rural areas. Then we're also going to take something to the youth provincial officers because we need to find a solution to this issue. Yama junkies, we need to keep them busy to make sure that they are busy. Then also a certain portion, we want to use it for recruitment of the young people into ZNS. When we recruit them, then we're going to deploy them to National Engineering and Construction as well as National Agriculture and Food Corporation. So funds needs to be harvested from within the resources that we have. So the mining sector, government is going to participate. It's going to participate through mining, where we're going to set up our own mines, where we are going to mine precious minerals as a way of starting. So once we start that, we build capacity, then we might diversify into copper. That's why I'm saying when we come, we are going to put a stop to mining licenses, including exploration. We're going to put a stop so that then we add value. Those foreign investors who would want to come and
You're going to stop exploration?
Yes. Exploration is also another way of stealing from us. Because some companies have been doing exploration for 10 years. How can you be doing exploration for 10 years? So we need to make sure that becomes...
But how are you going to know what you have if you're not exploring?
Now we know what is there already. And you know, Angel, for me, I don't even support this geomapping. You know that KK already told us where the minerals are in this country. Do you know that some of these game reserves, where there are game reserves, their minerals were being preserved? Do you know that? So these are things that are there.
So you are of the view that this information is already there.
It's there, and you see, there's a risk. There's a risk in exposing.
But I don't
country.
think so, because government was not going to undertake this very expensive venture of mapping if that information.
Who
was
sponsored that venture? It's FQM.
In partnership.
Yes, but who initiated it?
In partnership with government.
Initiated by FQM. So. I like looking at things strategically. So if you have noticed what happened last year, we had high-level people coming from the US, from Israel, from China. Sometimes you need to be alert to say, what is it that is exciting? Sometimes you Zambians will be told a story to say, now the environment is good for people to invest, but people may have identified something. Have you noticed that the American government that said we are withdrawing aid in your health sector? Few months later, they said, we are going to give you 2.5 billion over 5 years, but we need mining rights. So you need to connect the dots to say, what is it that is happening? What is it that they have spotted? So something has been spotted. If you read Isaiah 39, Isaiah was telling Hezekiah when he was a king, to say, those envoys who came from Babylon, what did they see in your palace? That I showed them everything. Said, you've made a mistake. There will come a time they will come and grab everything. So it's not always wise to expose the wealth that you have as a country. You need to hide it. That's what good leadership demands. Not vyavana chitaka chiruba voindo showing a matane os mwamene zofungo nkara protected abishta exposed. That's not a good leadership. So even now, this is not good leadership to expose all our resources. What will happen? You expose everything. You expose where there's uranium. You expose where there are diamonds. You expose where there's gold. That's a problem. That's a security risk.
Not attracting investors.
No, not attracting investors. Investors, you're supposed to tell them. Or you want to invest. What do you want to invest in? Strategic. You've seen that I don't have experience, but at least I've got the intelligence and the wisdom.
But you refuse to disclose some of the sensitive.
No, some of them
because you're afraid that the mining giants will come after you. I think you shouldn't be afraid. You want to be president, yes, so you should be ready to face them.
Yes, but there are certain things that what you need to know is that I've got the interest of the country at heart. So everything that I'm going to do, it's not that I'll be disruptive.
Say sharing is caring.
It's not that I'll be disruptive, no. Our economic model is one of a mixed model.
But also maybe I think it's also high time that, we Zambians are exposed to conversations that are honest.
Yes.
It's too much of sugarcoating things. So just say things as they are.
Yes, as they
so
are.
Just call them out.
And also the way we also want to do something. There's also bad behavior, what I would call bad behavior in the mining sector. So the way we are going to cure it, we are also coming to set up...
what is bad behavior in the mining sector?
Bad behavior is that, you see, the Zambians, some of them are sellouts. What is happening in the mining sector? They work in collusion with the outsiders to steal our resources. Maybe they are given kickbacks and then they keep quiet.
Illegal mining?
Not really illegal mining. There's a lot that happens in the mining sector. So certain things that happen in the mining sector, which Zambians are aware of, maybe they give you something, you don't report what is happening, what the foreigners are getting out of the country. So we want to come and set up what we are calling the Zambia Institute of Mining and Petroleum. I know there's interest from us to come and exploit petroleum. So we want to set up an institution. The way Zika operates, we want something in the mining sector so that then the mining personnel's behavior and ethics can be checked by an institution. I want, when there's that thing which happened at the Chinese mine, when there's that contamination, government can come in, but I want an independent body to come in and check exactly what's happening. You saw what happened after they started investigation. The numbers began to be falsified. The extent of the damage was even suppressed. But then we are told from the outside world that the damage was very, very, very severe. So we want an independent body to check the behavior of individuals working in the mining sector as well as the mining houses. So we want a separate institution. So these are part of the things that we want to come and do to make sure that there's discipline in the mining sector. When you also talk about the tax regime, I've not been happy with the UPND for reducing the mineral royalty. They were saying that because the DRC, the mineral royalty is low, because even in Canada is low. I've told them that DRC has got a history of conflict. Why should your tax regime be the same with DRC? Because there's huge investment in security in mining in DRC. In Canada, when the mining houses they produce, they declare the full things that they have. If it's 10,000 metric tons, they have what they would declare. But here in Zambia, they can mine 10,000, they'll say to mine 1,000. So the tax regime can never be compared that way. So these are issues that we need to look at as Zambians, but we need to put the interest of the people at heart. For me, I'm an advocate of indigenous investment in the country. I'm more of local direct investment than foreign direct investment. That doesn't mean that we'll keep away foreigners, no, because foreigners also have their own part to play in the country. And what I believe is that development of the country is the responsibility of the citizen, not the foreign investment.
And just there on
Yes.
tax, we now have to get to the phone lines on tax regime and everything that has to do with tax. The president is still very categorical that FQM is the largest taxpayer taxpayer in the country. If we're talking about single taxpayers, FQM is the largest. So that means government is still getting quite high substantial amount of resources from the mining sector.
But why should we only talk about FQM? What about the other mining houses? So are we coming up with tax regime specifically to companies, or we want to have a standard tax regime? So all these are issues that we need to talk about. Remember, the president, from his own mouth, he said, "Benzokumana moma toilet in South Africa by airport and FQM." So what does that tell you? So there could be incentives that FQM is benefiting based on those meetings that they used to have at Johannesburg Airport. So we want things to be done in the national interest, not on personal basis, personal connection. No, we need, when we do something, it's the citizens of this country who are going to benefit.
All right, 0956 200 490, 0956 200 490. That's the number that you can get in touch with the studio and for your contributions. Hello, good morning. Yes, your name and where you're calling us from? Chandawa wants calling us from Dola. Go ahead with the contribution.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, Wachanda Munishan.
Yeah, I stopped claiming for Bunosana. But my question is about the land. What's your party policy about land? Because we are seeing so many foreign nations, for example, some Chinese having large chunks of land, and they are even now started selling to Zambians. So, what is your party's policy? And the other question is, how are you going to make farming inputs cheap?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chanda. Once calling us from Kito. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Okay. We lost that caller. This text message here says it's coming from Mr. Okay. Let me get to it after this call. Hello. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Shimarunga, calling from Tambori Kito.
All right, go ahead with the contribution.
Morning, Mr. President. There.
Morning, Washmalunga. How are you?
I'm fine. What you are saying, I've just concur with your views concerning the way you have analyzed on the issue of the governance of this country. You have tackled on many different topics. In such the way the strategic plan direction you have tackled, they are very promising. In that it's the government in place should, even though you said that they should understand to your policies, to your ideas, such that we all the Zambians we benefit. But as of now, many things have happened since we're approaching the elections. Already, we Zambians have been plunged into poverty with this government. We farmers, we were paid directly for our inputs, our farming inputs. In such, they had to do other plans. Moreover, they had to do the D7, so what at the expense of we Zambians.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
What it is, I'm just urging you. Mukose, mama na niba mdala. Mukose, pakoba tao tachine. Mufunye povu uteko.
All right, we'll have to let you go because we've given you enough time to have your contribution. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Bye.
All right, thank you so much. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program. Good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Moses, I'm calling you from within the SAC. Mr. President, good morning.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
We are fine. We are enjoying the program, well articulated.
Thank you.
I've got two questions for you. The first one is on the fight against corruption. Are you also going to be selective? Are your followers going to be, untouchable, just as we are witnessing, whereby others are given acquittals, like the mayor of Livingstone, but those from the opposition, there is nothing for them. They just go in just like that. So how are you going to take the fight of how are you going to handle the fight against corruption? The other one is, how are you going to discongest the prison? Because I remember the president had also talked about it to say, I think there are people in prison who are not supposed to be there. We have seen that nothing much, has been done to discongest the prison. So how are you going to do it? So I think for me, continue with what you are doing. We are listening and tichonga tuona kuti amene apanga sense ndani kaida apa nthawi yokamba imwe my leaders. So when that time comes, we're going to say, I think this one means well for this country. Otherwise, we are listening. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution. Hello, good morning. Okay. We lost. That's about 3.
Yes.
Let's get 2 more so that we have you respond to them at a go. Hello, good morning.
Hello, my brother. Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Worship Precious Kitwe.
Yes, Worship Precious. Go ahead with the contribution.
Deposha wakateka. Washuka changai mwa bombeni.
Ashuka fe wino Worship Precious unishan.
Wino wakateka. Uyo mutima mukwete atemwa ebutungusha esi ntungurushisho. Fwe mbatu tulandoko bati umuntu wa mano tumwera mumira nzire na mukwenda kuchiwaishiwa kuno kuishwa ta uli ayena muntu kaine chiwelewele cho na chena tumwera mukulanda na mukwenda fulanda na tukwata utungushu ukankala bakateka kancho cho tuwe mikosesha pali lero fwe bena Zambia kuwombera chapamo opona mulanda atemo mwali mfuye tyalangira mulituko ati aboka bote mingalato washupa sana bakato mungalato isize tukunya pot nani kane logo yabo mingalato pato mingalato B7 pato mingalato ya shaba UPND so ngata twika tende imwe na ifwe ala
tukuntanshi tati akabebwine one by PND bali for push democracy mchache yesu mumone PFF bayipwishishe bakala pasesi bali kwete party ya bayipwishishe mwali omfuyira ma audio so ikata neni pie kombere ncha chapa mpaga ntuli yawa ikata ikabila fyumu akuya msheri boti ntwala ya munanga atemo ni moto kanshi ala twala.
Right. Thank you so much, Bash Precious, for your contribution. Okay, let's get that's 4. Let's get the last call up because of time. And maybe one more text message or two. Okay. Sorry, just trying to sort out my phone line. Mr. President, good morning. You are indeed presidential material, well articulated on issues affecting this country, our Zambia, and its leadership. Vindictiveness will not grow Zambia. I'm glad you are anti. I love your passion for this, our country. This is Gaston Banda, Chipata, Eastern Province. Thank you so much, Mr. Gaston, and great to know that Chipata is tuned in. Hello, good morning. Okay. Let's see if we can get our last call on the number 0956 200 You can call us back on that number. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Banja.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Raymond Chilufya calling from Kipa.
Mr. Chilufya, go ahead with the contribution.
Thank you. For start, I'm very pleased that our president is not that selfish and is very much willing to work in our alliances. Because even here in Kitwe, today political parties. Now that you are thinking with Council Alliance, we are very happy and relieved to Kitwe. Now, to fight UPND, this is selective justice, to fight it, unity is needed. Now, the issue of Ingala to I find very serious. You know, look at the removal of checkpoints. Checkpoints towards my elections. Issue for the focus that we share. They are talking about removing official mark from ballot. You see. So, my question now, Mr. President, is what's your take on the FIC report, where it was reported that 3.5 billion transfers, suspected transfers, the current government, and lastly also, foreigners using Zambia as a proxy for bank account to move money to other countries. I would like to know your take on that, Mr. President. Thanks very much.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chilufya, for your contribution. Okay, I know I said last caller, but just let's try and squeeze in. This number has been calling since forever. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well. Your name and where are you calling us from? Your name again?
This is Richard calling in Mikango area. Good morning, President Njobvu.
Morning, Richard Mudibwanj.
Yeah, thank you very much. Njobvu, for money.
Yeah.
And I would also like to know Kuchipatiani, ngati niko Chongo area. Ngati imanzeka maningi, ngati natimu kanostari icho. And then the other thing is that because you have seen zinashtika pa president Pazilian, president. Meaning that for the maridati zema chilapo kambili kamba bakwa kuti pali security yako ti ibanga ende kwa yezanda bante pente tati. Manje nayi zinashtika paja. Kodi mukabwera pokwera pondeke paja. Mgambo perega pole makago yanu kuti baziba bantuna ngubwani. Na wazangala makago yanu. Ifotifuna chalo chaguti chatu ichi tende pasogoro ngati president niyo mbora kuti muipa. Singa ende paja kopanda chilolezo pamanda wa president. Meaning that nishibonse wa state house wazankala pansi kanisho president waenda. Nandi zinamkila paja ili siya wa president pani.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much for your contribution. Mr. President, you only have 5 minutes to respond to these contributions.
Okay. Thank you so much for those who've called in and those who've sent my messages. I think in Zambia, we last Richard. Richard, yes, we have presence. I'll send you our number. I think as I conclude, so that then we can get connected. Then the use of the presidential pavilion, I think for me that wasn't a good thing, and it's a sign of disrespect. You can't use the pavilion where the president uses to do my legal activities. That's very, very unfortunate. So we pray that those people who are charged in terms of taking care of the presidential affairs should be people who are responsible enough, because you can't do that. Then Raymond from Raymond Chirufiawa Kukitwe, Wachilanda Toke, he was happy that we are willing to work with others. Then Wachilanda again, Pali Selective Justice in Mingalato. I think for us, I think we need to, what we want is, we want a Zambia where, first of all, opportunities are available for everyone, regardless of tribe. We shouldn't be selecting people. In our manifesto as Democratic Union, we have said that we want to be accountable to both man and to God. For me, it's a huge responsibility. I've been telling that those who want to come and join Democratic Union, that this is what I've given myself up to and the party. So even you, when you come in at Democratic Union, you need to be accountable to God for your actions. So these are things that we want to talk about. Then the FIC report, of course, these things have to be acted on. It's very unfortunate, but what this shows is that corruption has increased under the UPND, because we saw that, I think during the PF, I think there were less than $1 billion, I think specifically around 800 million. But we saw in 2023 that the FIC report stated that $3 billion left the country, and then 2024, $3.5 billion left the country. So it shows that there's high-level corruption, which is usually white-collar, because the people who are there now are smarter than those who were before. So for us, I think we want such investigations, such reports to be investigated and then action taken. Could it be that senior government officials are involved in doing this? That's why there's that quietness. So we need to act on such reports. Then you said the foreigners using Zambia as a point for sending money out. The only weakness that we have in this country is that we don't have good laws that protect our resources. I was working in a multinational company. I learned quite a lot. I learned quite a lot. You see, we are very weak. Anyone can get money from Zambia and send it out, but that's not a good thing. I worked in a multinational company that has got offices in South Africa and other countries, even Nigeria. It was difficult to receive money from South Africa. It was difficult to receive money from Nigeria. So we need to learn how other countries have protected themselves. At some point, I had even engaged the Bank of Zambia and ZRA to find out whether there are any policies or laws that limit us or restrict us in terms of how much money we can send out. We found that it's now open. It's just open, so we can do, the investor can come and harvest everything and send it out without even contributing to the well-being of our community. So we need to make sure that we've got laws that protect us, protect our citizens. The citizen needs to benefit from the resources. If the citizens cannot exploit the resources, when the investor exploits them, at least they must have benefit from that. That's what even is what we call sustainable mining or sustainable business operations are. So these are things that we need to look at. So it's just about our policies. We need to reposition ourselves. Bachirufia, there's something that we want to come and create as Democratic Union, where we also want to come and mobilize capital for the manufacturing sector, what we are calling the capital economic zone. I'll come and give you the details later when I come back to this platform. Then Gaston from Chipata, Ziko Mokwambiri, for those kind words. I'm sure it was just words that you spoke to me. Then Bashipresha Sawa Kukitwe na Vena, Bachila, okay, thank you for that kind word. And then you said that you are looking forward to a united opposition. I think it is also important that you people help if you want this united opposition. Because what we've seen also, there's a lot of selfishness within even the opposition. There are people who think that they should always be the ones to lead. Maybe I will specifically point like PF, they want to be the president and also the running mate. What about other political parties that wants to work with them? How are they going to partner with them? How are they going to roll out the ideas? So all those are issues, but we are waiting to guide us politicians as well when we talk about the issue of alliances. Moses, fight of corruption, am I going to be selective? No. We don't want to be selective. We want all citizens to be responsible. Responsibility should be for every citizen, whether in opposition or in government. We must all be responsible. When people engage in wrong things, they must know that one day they will need to give an account, but they need to give an account at the time they are serving. Remember, there was that investigation that was reported by SEC against those 4 cabinet ministers. The story died. We saw the direct deputy DG being reassigned. So which means the party in power didn't want to have that investigation open. But what we need to do is to work on our system so that we discourage a lot of human interventions in our system, especially our procurement system. That's why I was taken aback last time when the American government offered to help in the whole sector with the procurement and distribution systems. But the UPND was very reluctant. So we want a situation where our systems are built to such a level that at least they're a bit watertight, where human interventions is limited. Minimum. But we also want to encourage people to report corruption in our case. What we are going to do is that if you are, let's say, a civil servant, you report corruption, and we make recoveries from that case, we want to be giving 25% of what we recover to the person who reported. And to protect them, we will tell them that you can ask for a lateral transfer. If you are working from this ministry, you can go to another ministry or even another department after you have reported and we have started the court process, so that then you are protected. And we encourage a lot of people to report. Corruption is a very bad parasite which steals a lot from us, and that's why we are stagnated because of corruption. I was joking with some friends to say, because we've learned corruption as Zambians before we even getting developed, which means our development is stored. It will take a lot of time. Yeah. At least if we had learned corruption after getting developed, then maybe it could have been a different story. Yeah. But all the same, corruption is very bad. Then in terms of decongesting the prisons, I think we need to look at this seriously. I will not maybe give a straight away answer or respond to that, but I want just to point you to in the agriculture policy, what we want to do is when we do those public commercial farms, that is, we're going to engage through ZNS. But then the prisons also want them to engage in farming in all the 10 provinces. And what we want to do is that those low-level offenders, the prisoners, we are going to release them 90 days early before expiry of their term so that they go into the farms. So I believe that's one way we are going to decongest the prisons. But again, maybe there's also an issue of looking at those who are incarcerated. Were they rightly incarcerated? Especially these people are incarcerated. Others were just taken to prison and failed and all that. So maybe together at some point as Zambians we can discuss that. Then you have Shimalunga from Kitwe. Okay, I think most of them were commendations. Thank you so much. The only issue where he complained is about the suffering and the late payment to farmers. The farmers, I think it's very unfortunate. We hope that we can find a better way. If government is not able to pay the farmers, let it allow farmers to sell outside the country or to the private people so that then they are paid. Like I've said, let agriculture be a business, and your business, you need to be paid within a reasonable time. When you delay, you find that you find yourself in losses. So then again, Bachanda from Ndola, Bachilanda Pali land policy. My intention is that we need to restrict or limit the way we give land to foreigners. When you go outside the country, not all countries where you can buy land as a foreigner. We need maybe to have reserved places where they can buy. If maybe we've got my economic zones, then they can buy there, not just anywhere, no. They have taken advantage, especially in the traditional lands where they are buying in masses without limitation. We need to make sure that we protect our land, because most of our land has resources, as minerals. So when they are buying, they get everything. I saw a poster where a Chinese person was advertising land. He started selling land in our own country. That is very unfortunate. But for us, a step further, when we do resettlement schemes, we want to make sure that these are serviced. But above all, land must be protected. We can't just be selling
Mr.
land.
President,
and then the lease period
thank you so
should be
much.
limited.
Thank you so much. Very quickly, your number.
So you can reach us on 0952 866 474. That's the number that you can reach us on, 0952 866 474. Then we can start discussing and talking about initiatives and the ideas for the country.
Mr. President, thank you so much for coming through today. Up next, you do have the news brief. Just after that, Chipo comes on with today's edition of Lifestyle. Good morning.